For decades, we were told fat was the enemy. Then suddenly, sugar became the villain. Now the internet says seed oils are poisoning us, butter is healthy again, and nobody seems to agree on anything. So what does modern nutritional science actually say about fats? Which fats are genuinely harmful? Which ones help your body? And why has nutritional advice changed so dramatically over the last 50 years? To understand the fat debate, we need to go back to the 1950s. Heart disease rates were skyrocketing, and scientists were desperate to figure out why. One major theory came from researcher Ancel Keys, who suggested saturated fat increased cholesterol, and cholesterol increased heart disease risk. The idea spread quickly, and by the 1980s, low-fat diets became official health advice. There was just one problem. Once food companies removed fats, they needed something to replace the taste and texture the fats gave the food. So manufacturers added sugar, refined starches, and artificial ingredients. And despite eating less fat, obesity and type 2 diabetes rates exploded. Here's the part most people forget. Fats aren't just something your body stores. You literally need fats to survive. Your brain is nearly 60% fat. Your hormones depend on fat. And vitamins A, D, E, and K can't even be absorbed properly without it. So the question isn't whether fats are good or bad. The real question is, which fats help your body, and which ones hurt it? Modern nutritional science still agrees strongly on one thing. Artificial trans fats are terrible for human health. They raise bad cholesterol, lower good cholesterol, increase inflammation, and dramatically increase heart disease risk. Trans fats were created to make processed foods last longer on shelves, but they also made those foods much worse for the human body. That's why many countries eventually banned or heavily restricted them. Now we reach the most controversial part of the entire fat debate. Saturated fats. For decades, saturated fats were treated almost like poison. But newer research clarified the story. Modern studies suggest saturated fats may not be nearly as harmful as scientists once believed. What you replace saturated fat with matters enormously. If someone replaces butter with olive oil, nuts, or fish, a person's health markers often improve. But replacing butter with sugary cereal and refined carbs? That may actually make things worse. This explains why many low-fat diets fail. So modern nutrition science no longer treats butter like a deadly toxin. But that also doesn't mean unlimited saturated fats are magically healthy. The fats with the strongest long-term research behind them are monounsaturated fats. These fats are consistently linked with lower heart disease risk, healthier cholesterol, improved insulin sensitivity, and better metabolic health. This is one reason the Mediterranean diet repeatedly performs so well in long-term studies. And then there are omega-3 fats, also known as omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s are some of the superstars of modern nutritional research. Study after study links omega-3 fats with reduced inflammation, lower triglycerides, improved heart health, and possible brain and mood benefits. And as importantly, omega-3 research has remained remarkably consistent. And now, seed oils, where food science turns into online chaos. Seed oils have become one of the most controversial foods on the internet. Critics claim seed oils cause inflammation, damage metabolism, and drive obesity. But most large scientific reviews don't fully support those claims. Researchers increasingly believe the bigger issue is ultra-processed food overall, not necessarily the seed oils that are used in them. Because there's a huge difference between cooking vegetables at home with canola oil and eating ultra-processed fast food fried repeatedly in industrial vats. One of the biggest changes in nutritional science is something called food matrix thinking. Scientists are realizing foods are far more complicated than just some isolated nutrients. For example, cheese may affect the body differently than processed meat, even though both contain saturated fats. That's why modern research increasingly focuses on a person's overall eating patterns, instead of demonizing single nutrients. So what's the bottom line? The latest science suggests fats themselves were never the true enemy. The bigger dangers are more than likely highly processed diets loaded with sugar, refined carbohydrates, and artificial food combinations. That is why the one eating style still keeps winning in study after study. The Mediterranean diet. Maybe the answer has been hiding in olive oil the whole time. So remember, nutritional science changes constantly, but critical thinking never goes out of style. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more science, history, and fascinating truths hiding in everyday life.